Greetings everyone. I just wanted to take the time to come on today and reiterate a few of the circumstances that has enabled so much injustice to happen that has led me into this place and situation. And it started in 2012, from what I can remember. This was quite an extreme circumstance that I found myself in, and I believe it was unnecessary. But in 2012, I was pursued with a malicious prosecution for ejecting a drunk man who became violent from the premises that I was responsible for. And the Crown prosecution brought charges against the woman who proclaimed her innocence all the way through. And it's quite important to point out that the man who was head of this Crown prosecution service at the time, the head prosecutor, is the now Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer. There was no remedy or any rectifying of these issues, and quite frankly, it came about through inducing fear and projecting fear tactics in order for the woman to actually take an early plea bargain and proclaim a guilty plea when the woman knew that her actions were necessary and there was no other option for her to take at that specific time, due to this man assaulting her previous to the events that happened that evening. But the woman was treated like a criminal, and this was back in 2012, as I said. The case was brought against the woman in the name Regina. That's the Crown. And around the same time, there was these prosecutions being brought against postmasters and, quite frankly, pillars of the community. They were all trusted in the community, upstanding people, to be able to provide a service for people, families in the community, the elderly, who would have formed a rapport with these people in order for them to receive their benefits, pay bills, etc., etc. And that was our community. So I think it's very important to point this out, that it was around the same time. And the conclusion that I've come to really is that the intention is to discredit pillars of the community, people who stand for honesty and joy and what is morally right in our constitutional society regarding family, our day-to-day lives and how we treat each other. So the trust and belief in the justice system to uphold that has been completely shattered in my heart and soul and my mind. Because regardless of that, there has been many more false prosecutions, malicious prosecutions that started in 2020 during the pandemic. And it was a complete sabotage of the woman's character, who she was. And the whole narrative got flipped, absolutely flipped upside down. It's very hard to live through that. It's very hard to keep yourself in a positive mindset and keep moving forward when you're being presented with injustice after injustice, which is hindering the steps forward. So that man doing business as Prime Minister, who maliciously brought that prosecution because in the courtroom the judge saw through it and he dismissed it. He asked, why is the woman there? She was fully within her rights to do so, eject the man. And it sounds like he got what he deserved. And the frightening fact of that is, if that woman hadn't stood on her morals and her truth and her honour, knowing that what they were saying was wrong, the fear that they were projecting onto that woman, portraying that there was going to be a large sentence, and to reduce that large sentence, an early plea bargain would somehow help her. It's so unjust, and it's evil. Good is being turned into evil, and evil is being turned into good. And we're at a very poignant time now. There's a lot going on in the world, and it's even, things are coming out on the mainstream media where you can sort of look between the lines and know that these tactics and malicious people portraying themselves to be honourable, things are crumbling. But even upstanding people with a voice, with compassion, with an open heart, who care about people, are being converted into an evil energy. And I think it's so wrong. So we need to stand and be responsible with our energy, our actions, every word we speak. We have to be responsible with them, because we know the tactics they use. Everything that we put into the world can be converted if given the chance. And we're allowed to be angry. God gets angry when he's provoked to his face. And I believe that's what's going on. We are being provoked to anger. So I call out to all who watch this video, stand in your truth, do what's right, but hold that temper. Don't let them use that anger against you, because that's the weapon they're using. In peace, in the pursuit of honesty, justice and truth, we can do this as a collective whole. We have the power to do this. And yes, we're going to be ignored. I've been ignored and ignored and ignored. All of my work, communication, paperwork that has been sent to try and rectify some of these issues and put the facts on the record has failed as far as the circumstances are now, because I haven't had any replies. And now more injustice is taking place where I'm being forced into homelessness, which means there's going to be nowhere for any of these communications, that's been going on for years, to be able to be established in a response to the woman, because she's being forced into homelessness. That's the bit that gets me now, because after seeking remedy, being honest, they're trying to shut down and shut out any communication being received by that woman. My post has been intercepted for a long time. Court documents were sent out in 2021, also I'm told, that was never received at my home. Many other communications that were supposedly been sent out that I've been waiting for. Responses from many different agencies of government, police, the courts, has failed to deliver a response to my home. Now, I don't know whether it's completely ignorance, where they're ignoring the communications, or whether it is the mail continually to be intercepted, blocked, stolen, which begs the question, what else is going on? I can't access any of my computers. My email, even on this phone, is not letting me send emails. Everything's been overlooked, overseen by a different entity that, in my opinion, doesn't stand for truth and justice. And it goes on and on and on. So the time that we're in requires faith, truth, honesty, and to hold that temper. Don't let them use your anger against you, no matter how bad the situation is, because it will be portrayed that the people cannot be responsible for themselves, and that's absolutely wrong. We can, and we will, if we do not bend and fall to their malicious tactics. As I said, faith in the Most High. Jesus showed us the way, and it's always been there for us to take on board, whether you're religious or not. Jesus showed us the way. It's time to stand in that truth of who we are and what we want for our future generations. Sending lots of love out to each and every one of you. I know my situation is trivial to certain people out there. There's a lot of pain in this world, and I wish I could do more to help. The oppression of any people, children, individuals, is not just. You cannot put people into a category or label or boxes, and that's the point. When we take away the labels, the names, the categories, these things, and religion that they put us into to group us off and label, criticise. If we can take all that away and know that we are all God's children, and it takes us to have a intimate, individual relationship with that power, and you will receive the love and the discernment that is necessary for the path forward. Be kind. Live with an open heart as much as you can, but be discerning. Good is being turned into evil, and evil being turned into good. So watch the company you keep. Not all that smile in your face are your friend, or there for the greater good of yourself, or the greater good of humanity. Be wise and know your truth. Keep it close to your heart. Sending peace, love, and kindness out to everybody. One human family. If we can all just be kind to each other, then we will separate ourselves from evil. It's that malicious intention that people go out to intentionally cause harm and mischief in other people's lives so they can benefit. It's a sad state of affairs, but it's written. Put no faith in any mortal man, and love your Creator.